evening, everybody. Welcome to another rendition of the show, Music Lovers LTD. Good evening to everybody. How y'all doing out there, TV land and radio land and internet land and all them other lands? How you doing? Good evening to you and welcome. Tonight, two very important things are going on. The second one is probably the most important, but the first one is tonight is our 1 year anniversary. I didn't realize it. 1 year.
Bravo.
1 year anniversary. Man, this is just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And now the second thing is, who else to be doing this show with besides a legendary radio Philadelphia personality, Mr. Harvey Holiday, Double H. Give him a nice round.
Yeah.
Fabulous to be on the anniversary show. Fabulous to be on the anniversary show. And may I say I'm feeling good, like a rock and jock should. It's the Friday night edition of your rock and roll mission.
There you go.
My face is in the place.
And your feet under the seat, huh?
My feet is under the seat.
Listen, man, it thrills me to no end to have you here, because as everybody else will tell you, and anybody been listening to me for years, you have been a radio idol of mine. Every Sunday night that I can remember that you were on, I don't care whether I had a gig, whether I was working, whatever, I made my way to the radio so I could listen to your show every Sunday night.
I appreciate it.
I want to take this opportunity right now, as my idol and as a radio idol and somebody I've admired, I want to tip my hat to you and give you a nice round of applause, my brother. Thank you.
Well, may I say, first of all, it's an honor to be on your first anniversary show. And second, there are guys that inspired me to do what I did. I inspired guys like you, and it's your job to inspire the younger people to keep this thing going. And I want to thank you for your passion, for your love of the music, for your excitement that you bring. You're keeping the music and the memories alive. Somebody's got to do it. And it's you, Ollie Hackett, the king of the oldies. So don't you dare stop.
Thank you, Harv. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, let's just jump right on in here. Harv, I know that you've got a ton of memories that you can share with us about this entertainer, that entertainer. Let me just start off on a little solemn note and say that today, the services for Jerry Butler, who I knew was one of your favorites. Let's talk about that just for a moment, if you would. Go ahead.
Well, I had the honor of emceeing the Jerry Butler, Curtis Mayfield Impressions reunion at the Uptown Theater. Georgie Woods invited me to co-host. Might be the highlight of my career. What a thrill that was on the Uptown with the original Impressions. That was so fabulous. And they were great. Jerry Butler could just, he could just sing, man. He was really Georgie gave him the nickname, the Iceman.
Right.
And then I had him on my show, and he kept his overcoat on the whole interview. I said, Jerry, take your coat off. He said, I'm fine. And then the funniest thing was he was looking through all his records. I had a stack of Jerry Butler records, and he kept looking at one for about 5 minutes. I said, Jerry, what's the matter? He says, I don't remember recording this. I said, well, you did. But Ollie, let me ask you, you think there was ever a group where two artists left the group like Curtis and Jerry and were as big as Curtis Mayfield and Jerry Butler?
I can't, nobody pops into my mind right away. Yeah. Nobody does. There are several artists who did leave the group. David Ruffin left and he had a moderate career, but he was just
David and Eddie. But now that you mention that, but probably not as big as Curtis and Jerry.
Right, exactly. That's why I said they had moderate careers, but those two guys have to be at the top of the list. They really, really do have to be at the top of the list. I'm gonna move around, Harv. Let me see. Diane, go ahead, baby cakes.
Good evening, Mr. Holiday. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, young lady.
I just want to say now, I worked at the mental hospital when you were on Sunday nights. I would never work a double because I had to be home. I work a double any other time, but on Sundays you couldn't get me to work a double because we would, everybody came over my house and play pinochle and listen to you on Sunday night. That's what we did. That was our Sunday nights.
I had a lot of people over the years. Thank you very much, first of all. But I had a lot of people over the years tell me they had card games. They would get together with friends and they would hang out on a Sunday night, cards, whatever it was, and listen to the Holiday on Sunday show. I'll tell you what's great about that. I did it from 71 to 85. Then Butterball took over. He did it till he passed. And Patty Jackson, of course, does it now. So I'm very proud that a show I started in 71, even though it's a lot different, is still on the radio. And myself, Butter, and Patty all have stars on Broad Street. So I feel like I started that whole thing, and I'm very proud of that.
Wow, that is awesome, man. That's
Yes,
awesome.
man.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. That's
Thank
awesome. When we get through, Harv, I'm gonna give you maybe send you $5, make you help get my name on Broad Street. You know what I mean?
It costs a little more. But $5 is a good deposit.
All right, Drew, go ahead, Drew.
Hey, Harvey. I'm Drew, man. It's a pleasure meeting you. And wow, man. I'm in awe of you, man. I listened to you all through your run at DAS. I was wondering about that theme song, though. Okay,
That
so
was
who were the females behind that, and how did you come up with that?
That was originally a song. The group was the Foxes. You never heard of them. And the song was, and I have the song was called Soul City. And we gave them the new lyrics, and they recut it to boop, boop, Harvey Holiday, people uptown, people downtown. I always thought it was a great, one of the great theme songs. And I played it on DAS on Sunday. And then when I was on 29 years at 98, I played it on Sunday night at 7 o'clock. So
were they a Philly group?
No, they were from New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, like I said, the original song is called Soul City. We're going to Soul City. Listen to Harvey. They'd say, going to Soul City. And they changed it around. Then the piano in there is great. And I just thought it was a really good theme song.
Yeah. Very catchy. Very catchy. I like that.
Thank you.
Good question, Drew. Good question. Jay, go ahead up. You're up.
Hey, good evening, Harvey. How you doing?
Good, Jay. Good to hear from you.
Nice to make your acquaintance.
My pleasure.
I did want to ask you a question real quick. Why did you choose the surname Holiday?
Well, a funny story. As a 12-year-old kid, I worked for High Lit, the great disc jockey, legendary disc jockey. He was my inspiration. He caught me, inspired me. I inspired Ollie, and now Ollie's got to keep it going. But so he said to me, he needed a different name for the radio. He said, Benny King was out then, and he said, how about Harvey Holiday, like Benny King?
Oh.
Or he said, you could be just in time. And then Steve Martin would come on and sing, just in time, I found you just in time. And I'd say, hi, everybody, it's just in time. Well, I went with Harvey Holiday. I left the EL. So then when I did the DAS show, I called it, Sunday. I was the first program director of DAS FM when it became a black radio station. I hired Wayne Joel and Perry Johnson, and I'm proud of that. Of course, the station's still tremendously successful today, even though much different. But it was just one of those things,
Cool. Good question, Jay. Good question.
Very good. Very good.
Move over to Restful Spirit. Go ahead, baby doll.
Yes. Hi, Mr. Harvey Holiday. I'm Restful Spirit.
Hello.
They say you was known for your famous Sunday broadcast called Street Corner Sunday.
Well,
my question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well,
my question.
I did 15 years on DAS on Sunday night, and that was a mostly soul show with a little doo-wop thrown in. And then I went to OGL, CBS, and I worked there for 29 years, and I did Street Corner Sunday. They had a show in New York City called the Doo-Wop Shop. And so they wanted me to do a show on Sunday night with a little more doo-wop. And, I had to throw some soul in. We had to get some of that stuff in there, And so we had a good time for all those years on Sunday night. So as Ali will tell you, right?
Absolutely.
We had Stevie Wonder came by one night for 3 hours. We mentioned Jerry Butler, Smokey Robinson. I had twice. One night I had Smokey on. I played all his records in order, starting with Got a Job and Bad Girl and all that. And that was a lot of fun. So,
right.
Go ahead. Sorry, ask your question.
Yeah, my question was, how did you come up with the concept for Street Corner Sunday, and what was the process like developing that show?
Well, I worked for CBS, and they had an oldie station in New York, WCBS FM. And like I said, they had a show called the Doo-Wop Shop. So when they called me, let me grab a little water here. Thank you. When they, no, got a good laugh. Let me do it again.
Yeah.
So
Right on.
when they made Oldies in Philly, they wanted to put a doo-wop show on Sunday night like they had in New York. And I came up with the name Street Corner Sunday. And,
Okay.
you know, we were very, very successful. I could never beat, I always came in second. Now, when I had the #1 ratings for years on DIS, and when Butter came on, to be honest, he kept those #1 ratings. So my doo-wop show, I was #2 and he was #1.
Right.
So, which I didn't mind, you know.
Right.
So because it's hard, it's just like when on like ABC News, when what's his name, the left, the newscaster before Jim Gardner, the original.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Anyway, they could never beat. Well, then he went to the other channels, but he never could beat Channel 6. So
Larry King?
it's hard. It's hard. Larry Kane, thank you.
Yeah.
So Larry Kane was on 3 and 10, but he never could beat 6. And I never could beat Butter. You know, I came close, but I never could beat him. And I didn't mind that. You know, it was a different show. And, you know, and Butter was, you know, Butter was the most popular jock. You know, you talk about being a white guy, you know, the black community accepted High Lit, me, and people I'm probably forgetting. But nobody was bigger than Butter. You know, Butter was a real people person, and he was, you know, I'd like to do a show alone. I like to be in the studio alone, just converse with my audience one-on-one. That's what I wasn't a great disc jockey. I was a great communicator. I was I was like, hey, come on in. I got some records for you to hear. Have you heard this from Otis Redding? You know, I wasn't a big booming disc jockey hit the post. I was a conversationalist, and I was very successful at it. But no, he was great, you know. And the point I was making was I would do a show alone. Now, if Butter was on before me, like filling in for somebody, he'd have 20 people in the studio. Time I had everybody get out because I had a focus. Now Jimmy Bishop could do a radio show. He would eat a steak, mashed potatoes, beautiful meal. He'd have 2 people on the phone, and he wouldn't miss a beat. Now I can't do that. I gotta concentrate, or I'm gonna screw up. You know. So, but Bishop was unbelievable. How about a quick Bishop Butterball story? You know, Bishop had Barbara Mason and he cut records. He wanted to be Berry Gordy. You know, he was a great disc jockey and promoter, but he wanted to do something else. It was Jimmy Bishop's story. So he was always in this, like he'd be at Sigma Sound cutting records, doing stuff. And he was always late. And Butter didn't mind because he loved being on the air. You know, we were young. We just loved it. So I'm sitting there with Butter one day and Bishop's supposed to be there and he's not there. And the phone rings and Butter says, yeah, Jimmy. Yeah, Jay. Yeah, Jay. Okay, man, you got it. All right. I said, what happened? He said he's running late. I said, where is he? He said the Will Rogers Turnpike in Oklahoma. He said, but Bishop said he's driving fast. It was wild.
Oh my gosh. DAS had some wild days. Them early days were really, really crazy. I wasn't a part of the crew. I'm sorry, Russell, did you get the answer to your question?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So. Keep me on track.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Harv?
Keep me on track. I haven't done this for a while.
I was not an official part of the WDAS team, but I was trying to get in there because Rolls Royce Howard supposedly was trying to, help me get in. But being in that building, you would see so much going on, this back and forth and this, that, and the other. It was hilarious. It truly, looking back now, it was hilarious. At that time, I was like amazed as all this that was going on back and forth and what have you. And
James Brown came.
Huh?
James Brown would come by a lot,
Yeah.
The Temptations. I called out sick one day. I came in the next day. He said, what happened? I said, you missed the Jackson 5. It was like unbelievable. The people that came through. I was sitting on the bench in the front one day, and I see a guy walking up wearing a long leather coat. Can't see who he is yet. All by himself. No posse, no team. Gets close to me and I went, oh my God, Bobby Blue Bland. And let me make this point. Bobby Blue Bland, black or white, is the most underrated singer in the history of showbiz, in my opinion.
Agree.
What a singer. Singer, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Some
of the stuff that I've heard that I've played by him that nobody ever plays is just like, man, how come this didn't make it?
Yeah. Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
he was great.
Let's jump over to the professor. Go ahead, Professor.
Good evening, Mr. Holliday. Thank you for being here with us. This is the second time I got to speak with you. I actually met you. We were with Allie at a memorial for
Charlie
Charlie
Gracie.
Gracie.
Charlie Gracie.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Were you with the Lee Andrews? You were there, weren't you, Lee Andrews?
I was yeah. I was there then too. Yeah.
no, I wasn't.
No, I think he was asking me. But go
Yeah.
ahead, baby.
Okay. WOGL, when you retired from there, they gave you 12 days to say farewell.
Yeah. Okay.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
I didn't get to hear any of that. Are any of those shows recorded?
They might be like on YouTube, or like if you Google my name, a lot of the old shows and things come up. It wasn't, I got to be honest. It was very nice of them not to fire me, to let me go out with the 12 days of holiday, But I would have done it a little differently. They had taken my Sunday night show off the year before.
Yeah.
And this was, I knew I knew at the end of my contract that I really didn't want to go back because I didn't have the Sunday show anymore. I was playing music I really didn't know, 80s and 90s. Sometimes I'd say to somebody, "How do you say the name of this group?" And then I'd say, "Hey, that's my favorite group." It's showbiz, you fake it, But I never had the honor of being escorted out of the building because they would no matter how kind of person you were and how long you were there, a lot of places where they fire you, they escort you, out of the building. Yes. So I never had the thrill of being escorted out of the business. But overall, I appreciate what they did.
Cool.
I'm gonna look that up. I'd love to hear some of it.
But radio really changed. A friend of mine said we got off the Titanic just in time because they stopped paying good money. They started voice tracking where somebody in Detroit is doing the afternoon show in Philly, and you talk 3 times an hour. So, look, it's their toys, but I got off. I was in radio when it was fun. When you could make a buck, you could have fun. You had good time. DIS, we had poker games every night. I mean, we had we just had a good time,
Yeah.
And
I'm with you, Harv. Professor, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut across. You answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. I'm like you, Harv, and this team here, they hear me say it often. Radio has changed tremendously. And I'm fighting, I'm hanging on, and I'm pushing uphill trying to keep this music alive and what have you. But it has changed because when I came in sort of like at the height of where you and Georgie Woods and all of them. So I got a little bit of taste of the stuff that was going on. You know what I mean? And I'm still trying to hang it, but it's totally different now. You're
completely.
Right. Go ahead.
I used to hang at DIS when I was 12 years old. When I was 12 years old, one Saturday, Georgie Woods let me introduce a record, and Lloyd Fatman, you remember him on HAT?
Well, he's on
both stations. So, and then of course I got to work there later. What a thrill! But I tell people, look, I first walked into a radio station when I was 12. Okay. And I walked out of the radio station my last time when I was 74.
Isn't that awesome?
12 to 74, I had a hell of a run.
That's awesome. That's a heck of a ride, man.
I got to say, see, Ali, you enjoy what you're doing. You have fun. You're not just doing it.
Right.
And I told you, I was listening a little bit to you last night. Every great personality, for the most part, has a great laugh. They laugh. You don't hear laughing on the radio. People laugh in real life. People tune in. They tune in to forget their problems. They want to hear a happy guy. They want to hear music they love, and you keep doing that. But like you say, though, it's harder because, say 3 words, get off the air. Play the same 5 records over. But hey, we had our day.
Yeah. I just refuse to do that. And Butter and I had that conversation when he was going to hire me at DAS. Because one time I said, but why do you keep playing the same 5 records over and over and over? I said, because I know you know better than that. He told me his words were, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, sure. Because if you play 100 records and the other station plays 30, they're going to kick your ass in the ratings. Yeah. Now, you think people say that. I don't want to hear the same records over and over. But if it makes you win and you can keep feeding your family, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I always like now, you know, there's nobody playing oldies on big commercial stations, you know, so you don't want to be like, I never, if I had you know, Mama's Closet where I'd have an oddball, a record nobody knew, but I would play 3-4 hits. I'd play Smokey, Tracks of My Tears,
Right.
the Temps, you know what I mean? And then, you know, Tyrone Davis, Chain That Chain to Mine. And then I'd say, hey, here's one you may not know.
Right.
I give it a setup. Let's go to Mama's Closet, blah, blah, blah. And here's one you might like. So I'm telling people, you probably don't know this, but I like it and you might like it.
Right.
And that's how we, you know, that's how we had the holiday records, Purple Raindrops, Stevie Wonder.
Yes.
You know, the B-sides, you know.
Yes.
Can You Love a Poor Boy? Can You Love a Poor Boy? Smokey was an album cut.
Right.
You know, and then we had the #1 record when we did the top 105 was I Only Meant to Wet My Feet by the Whispers.
Yep. Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And people will tell you, well, I had other records that I played I thought were great and I didn't get the reaction, so I stopped playing them.
Right.
But
right.
You know, and the other thing is, you know, with Butter, what I would say, what I used to say to people, look, you got a record player at home, play what you like, have a great time. When you get on the radio, play what the people want to hear.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Here's one that I know you just probably slipped your mind. Statue of a Fool, David Ruffin.
No question. Yeah.
That was a great B-side. Great B-side.
And I gave him the nickname, the Man with the Glasses.
Yes. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You mentioned Lloyd Fatman earlier. Well, when he passed away, that's when Cody hired me to come in at WHAT.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Great time, man. Great time. That was some big shoes I had to fill. But one thing I learned was that you can't fill anybody's shoes. You just have to do what you do.
Be yourself. Always
Exactly.
be yourself. Exactly.
Exactly.
Now, to be honest, I started out imitating Jimmy Bishop and High Lit and all those guys. That's what got me going, you know. But then I developed, like I said, I developed the person, you know. I realized I wasn't really a great disc jockey, big voice, hit the post, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's in the city, it's 5 o'clock, you know, hit 12 in a row. You know, my thing was, you're walking by my house, hey, come on in, I want to play some records for you. How you doing? How about those Sixers, man? What a game last night. You know, here's a new one from, you know, here's a Motown masterpiece. Now, I'll tell you a quick story about Motown. Motown, a lot of times records would get played on the radio, people would rush to the record shop, and they didn't have it. So they'd buy something else. Motown figured that out, and they sent the records to the record shops first before the radio station. So we always had a guy, you know, he called us, I got the new Temps, send it over. And when you got the copy that people could buy, because when they had the DJ copies, it was the same record on both sides. But when you got the regular record, you had the B-side. And that's where Tracks of My, you know, A Fork in the Road came from, you know, those great B-sides from all the, you know, the Motown, the Temps, Don't Look Back. You know, in Philly, a lot of them were bigger than the A side.
Yeah. You know? And the fact that you turned them over was also exposing us to a better music, much better music. Here's something that I played last night. I don't know if you got a chance to hear it. Number 15 on the charts and number 1 in your heart. Crash
Echoes
Allen.
of November. Echoes of November. Crash Allen. His favorite group was the Temps.
Yes, it was. Yep. Yes, it was. Let's go back around. Drew, you got something for us?
Yeah. Harvey, I see here you started at DAS in 1970.
71.
71? Okay. At that time, when you first got into DAS, was there any kind of pushback? Forgive me for asking. Was there any kind of pushback, you know, because of the color of your skin? Did they accept you right away? Or can you talk about that?
No problem whatsoever. You know, no problem. Now, I may not have gotten along with everybody, just like anybody at work, but it wasn't a racial thing. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a racial thing. And, you know, I think, like I said, Butter was probably the most, you know, there's no question that Butter was the most popular white jock, you know, on DAS in Philly radio. But High Lit, I know I'm forgetting other people, but never felt, never bothered me at all. Never had a problem. Now, the thing is that, as I mentioned, Butter, High Lit was accepted by the black community. But let's be honest, how many black jocks were big on white stations?
Right.
And I don't blame the audience for that. I don't blame the white people. If a black guy would have got on a white station and played good records and been good, he would have been accepted. I blame management and ownership for not wanting to have a black personality.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
One more question. Did DAS ever play something other than soul music? Did they play rock or doo-wop?
No, Georgie Woods would play Elvis. And Elvis, actually,
Really?
if you look at the R&B charts in the 50s, a lot of white records were on the R&B charts. You know, Elvis and I think Mac the Knife, Bobby Darin, maybe. But there was a lot of Georgie, you know, Righteous Brothers, you know, the term blue-eyed soul.
Right.
Georgie was very open. He, you know, if it had the groove and he liked it, he played it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Cool.
Thank you,
Good
sir.
question.
Now
Drew.
let me say the most important thing, if I may, which I read in a book from Sam Phillips, who ran Sun Records, which was the home of Elvis and Carl Perkins and Howlin' Wolf, black and white artists, which he got from listening to gospel, walking past the church. They could separate people at shows. They could have a black show, a white show, or they could have the blacks up and the whites down. They could do a lot of things, but you know what they couldn't stop? The radio signal from going into every neighborhood. Think about that. You ever think about that?
Okay.
They couldn't
Okay.
stop. You couldn't stop DIS and HAT from going into white neighborhoods. You know,
Okay.
you couldn't stop the white stations from going into black neighborhoods. So if you wanted to hear Sid Mark and Sinatra, you could hear it. So radio, to me, was very important to segregation in this company because there was no way to stop it. So as a little kid, I'm sitting 12-year-old, I'm sitting in bed. I used to listen to the ball games and other things. And all of a sudden I hear High Lit on WHAT, and he's playing Frankie Lyman and Fats Domino and Elvis Presley. And he's a white guy, you know, on a black station. And he Rock and Roll Kingdom. He was very, very popular. And that's how I got into it. You know, and then I started going DIS and HAT as a kid hanging out. But the radio signal went everywhere.
Right.
And that's what helped segregation. Then the music. So like I say, if you're a white kid, maybe your parents won't let you go see the black show. Maybe they won't let you go the Uptown. Maybe this and that. But you could turn on the radio, and here came James Brown, you know, Sly and the Family Stone, Marvin Gaye. Boom.
That's a very good point.
You know?
It's a very good point, Harv.
I think it's you know, not that because I said it because I wasn't the one who thought of it, but it's really true that was really important. I mean, music and sports you know, and then I love, you know, I don't know why. My first favorite ball player was Earl Monroe. He was the first guy to have a little, you know, have a little spice in his game, you know. And one day I said, you know, I just noticed I like the black music. I like the black hat. I just like black things, you know. So, hey, what do you want me to do? I mean, Butter.
It's all good. It's all good.
Butter and I had a parallel life. Butter was in South Philly. Butter was in South Philly. I was in. Now, here's another thing I got to admit now that I'm retired. I went to Northeast High School. But when you work on DIS, you can't say you went to Northeast High School. So where I was, people would say, where'd you go to high school? Overbrook. Where'd you go to high school? Germantown. It was either Overbrook or Germantown. I couldn't say Northeast, man. You can't. And here's another great story. A friend of mine who worked for a record company, loves black music like I did, grew up. He wrote the first book on Sam Cooke, put my name in a book. He wrote a great article about me in Rolling Stone magazine. You know how much he appreciated my show. But I lost my mind. I'm old once in a while. I lose my point.
That's all right.
So, give me a
writer Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke, writer Sam Cooke book.
Oh no, he said to me a couple of months ago. I got it. He said to me a couple of months ago. He says, "You know about you working at DIS?" He said. I said, "Yeah." Did you ever think it was a dream and you really didn't do it? And I liked it. I said, you know what? Because here I was, a 12-year-old kid listening to rock and roll, hanging at the station. And then years later, I'm running DIS FM. I'm doing a Sunday night show. There's Georgie Woods, there's Jimmy Bishop, there's Kay Williams. I'm there, you know, I'm in the poker game, you know. Georgie cheated, I'll say that. But
yeah.
You know, but other than that, I got nothing bad to say about him. But so I think about that a lot. Did I really do that, or was that a dream? You know, because when something really good happens to you, you know, you have to accept it, you know. So.
Right. Great question, Drew. Jay, come on up.
Hey, Harvey, I was just wondering if any of your catchphrases ever make it into a record or maybe a television program, movie, or anything?
Ooh,
Great question, but you have it backwards.
Oh, give it to me.
One of my biggest lines was, "Some people listen to remember, some people listen to forget."
Yeah.
And then as a joke, once in a while, I say, "Some people listen to remember, some people listen to forget, and some people forget to listen." But the main line was, "Some people listen to remember." Now, where did I get that from? One of the biggest records in the history of the world, Hotel California by the Eagles. In the song, they say, In the song, they say some people dance to remember, some people dance to forget. And as soon as I heard it, I said, I'm using that.
Wow.
And I just changed it to some people listen to remember, some people listen to forget. So I would, I don't want to use the word steal, but I mean, in the business, it's like certain people would say thing and everybody would say it. I'll give you a couple of examples. Big Sonny, Little Sonny, Phil and Bird.
Yeah.
Am I right? Give me one, Ali.
Yep. Yep.
Give me another one.
You caught me off guard. Let me see. Because I'm listening to your stories, man. I'm listening to your stories.
They were the Mighty Dells. It was always the Mighty. The only Dell. The only group with Mighty was the Dells.
Right.
But we all would use the same expression. The Little Sonny, Big Sonny, Phil and Bird.
That's where I got it from you. I got it from you.
The Tall, Tempting, Talented Temptations.
Right. How about this one, Harv? How about this one? The Town Crier.
Smokey Robinson.
Absolutely. I still call him that.
I got it. But it wasn't stealing. I took a lot of stuff from other disc jockeys. Jimmy Bishop, finding music everywhere because Holiday's on the air. It's not stealing. To me, I did a lot of those things of other disc jockeys. In my mind, I was doing a tribute to them.
Right.
I wasn't stealing.
Right.
Somebody said to me, "Where'd you get that from?" I said, "Jimmy Bishop, Georgie Woods."
Right.
When I was on OG 98, I came up with a great line the last 5 years. I said, "Holiday on Sunday, I got the goods because I was friends with Georgie Woods."
Yep.
But you get them where you can get them.
Yeah.
But the Hotel California one, I was having my hair and I laughed.
This is great.
So your question was great, but it was the opposite.
Got it.
I took it from a song.
Got it. Got it. Good question.
That's why we come here to find stuff out like that.
Yeah.
It's like here's the other one, Ollie, is everybody always says, I want to see your face in a place.
Right. That's Georgie Woods. And feet under the seat.
I like how about this line from Georgie? People forget. Drive carefully. The life you save, maybe that is somebody that owes me money.
Exactly. Yep. Well, this is good stuff here, boy. I tell you. Diane, come on in, baby.
Okay, now out of all of Words and Things you won, what is the one that you treasure the most?
Well, I have the Star on Broad Street, which is about as high as honor as you get for a Philadelphia personality. I was the Pennsylvania Broadcaster of the Year a few years back. Vernon Odom got it for TV, and I got it for radio.
Right.
And that was thrilled. But I always say this is not making this up. My father was sick, and I had to live with my aunt in Camden for a while. And when I lived there, I used to play rock and roll real loud. And one day my Uncle Stanley came up and he pulled the plug and turned that stuff off, And years later, I went to see her. She was 100 years old. I'm not exaggerating, 100 years old. Wow. And she said to me, "You remember when Uncle Stanley made you stop playing that rock and roll?" I said, "Yep." She said, "Well, you stayed with it and it paid off, didn't it?" I said, "Sure enough." And that to me was the highest honor. But let me say this. When you look in the mirror, you know what you did. Because a lot of awards are politics, this and that,
Yeah.
You have to know what you did in life. Look in the mirror and say, "Hey, I did this.
Okay.
I played records for people that they hadn't heard. I brought happiness to people. Somebody's mom would die. I play a record, their mom's favorite record. I brought them happiness."
Right.
And that's the power of radio, to be able to reach out. That to me is what radio is about. Somebody called me up, "Man, I haven't heard this record in years," and I'd get it on radio in 2 minutes, and I know I brought them happiness.
Right.
And so to me, when you look in the mirror, my biggest reward is when I look in the mirror or I talk to my friends and I know that what I did, what I accomplished. And I know I made a lot of people happy. I inspired a lot of young disc jockeys to go on and do it. And I hope I, inspired him in the right way. Ali has the laugh. He has the passion. He has the love. He has fun on the radio. That's what you tune in for, to have fun. Forget your problems. Have fun. I went on many a day. I would go on, I'd have problems, but the more problems I had, the happier I sounded. If I lost a lot of money betting on the Eagles, I knew my bookie was listening. I'd be super happy. When the mic was closed, I might throw some records, but I was always happy. To me, that's what people would say to me. You're always happy. That's my job, man, to entertain you, to be happy. But
Exactly.
and I'm not saying that I got a lot of awards. I'm very happy. I got that great write-up in Rolling Stone National Magazine. But my greatest reward is when I look in the mirror once in a while and I say, "Hey, you did a good job."
That's awesome. That's awesome.
it
Well,
worked.
well said, man.
You know.
Well said. Well said. Well said. Russell, go ahead, babe.
Yes, hey, listen, you have worked with many stations throughout your career. And my question is, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced during your time, and how did you overcome it?
Let me see if I can explain this right. At DIS, when I did the Sunday night show, I played what I wanted. I had guests if I wanted. If I wanted to do an hour, I did specialty shows. I did all Motown. And then I did the first all Motown show in this country. And then I did the first no Motown show. Because a lot of Motown, and then gave the other artists a shot,
Right.
But then I decided that I wanted to go somewhere where I had to follow rules. Sounds funny. Usually you want the other thing. You have follow rules, you want the freedom. I wanted the challenge of doing that because I knew that if I had to follow the rules and do this and do that, but I wanted to be able to still be Harvey Holiday, inject some of my shtick, some of my lines, and do that. So the challenge to me, which I think I achieved because we had fabulous ratings on 98, was to follow all the boss's rules. At the same time, people that tuned into me still got some Harvey Holiday shtick.
Okay.
They got some Sixers stuff. People know I love the Sixers. I had season seats for 40 years. So to be able to do that and still be successful was a challenge. But I think that I handled it, because you don't want to lose yourself. You don't want to just, it's 7:10, here are the Temptations,
Right.
But the boss, they want you to boom, boom. But I think I was able to inject my personality, still be me, and still keep the boss happy.
Cool.
Okay.
So that was my challenge. Yeah, very good
Good
question.
question,
Okay.
Russell. Good question. I'm getting ready to move over to the professor, but Harv, as you well know, and we said this earlier, radio has changed so much now. The suits run it, and there's no personality. Even if radio stations now with no personalities on,
Right.
It's just music, just music, just music. Now, to a music junkie, that may be good, but that's different than what we did.
But that's not going to inspire me to get in radio. It's not going to inspire you to get in the radio, and
Right.
it's not going to inspire any young kid to get in radio.
Exactly.
And radio listening is down. Radio listening is down. It's all the corporations. See, in the old days when it was owned by families. HAT was the Banks family, the Leon Klein family owned DAS. If you were doing a good job, the other station came along, wanted to take you away and give you some money.
Yep.
Now they're not going to do it because one
Right.
guy owns all the stations. Where's the
Right.
competition? DAS, Power 99, boom, boom, boom. Now they got the same owner.
Right.
Where's the
Right.
competition?
Exactly. Exactly.
So.
And it was good. It was good stuff for the jocks too, because Georgie Woods went from HAT to DAS to HAT, back and forth, back and forth, back and
Well,
forth.
when he had a fight with DAS, he'd go to HAT,
Right.
and then he'd come back,
Good stuff. Professor, go ahead.
I grew up loving music. My father was a very older man. I listened to things that most of the kids did not listen to. I can say I'm the youngest one on this panel. I listened to the Mills Brothers and stuff like that.
Mills
Because-
Brothers, the start of doo-wop, start of the harmony sound. The
Yep.
Mills Brothers and
Ink Spot.
Ink Spots, thank you.
Yeah.
'Cause I have a friend. We always talk about the Mills Brothers and the Ink Spots as starting the thing. Which one was better? But they had great harmony.
Yeah.
The Mills Brothers actually did a cover of Silhouettes. The Rays took a walk. And
Yeah.
yeah. The Mills Brothers did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
but it all comes. It came from gospel. And then the Mills Brothers and the Ink Spots, perfect. And then then the Orioles.
Mhm.
A lot of the earlier groups that I'm not really that familiar with, but and then like the beginning of like the early Temps is like a little thing of doo-wop,
Yes.
Slow Down
Yes.
Hard, Farewell My Love. It's
Yeah.
got more, it's got the brass and more instrumentation, but the harmony is there.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in Philly we had Lee Andrews,
Mm-hmm.
the Nat King Cole of doo-wop.
Yeah.
And so listening to different music is fabulous. What you did.
Yeah.
You don't have
So-
to follow the road everybody's taking.
Right. The ones that the radio personalities that I remember like pre-teen years was Dick Clark, Ed Hurst, Hylet, you, Wolfman Jack, Jerry Blavitt, Georgie Woods, Jimmy Bishop, and Jocko Henderson. Now, all the rest of them came as a teenager and everything, and I loved them too because I was an avid fan of WDAS. We gave it a nickname. We said that the WDAS stood for Why Dial Another Station.
Whoa!
Whoa, that's good.
Whoa!
That's good. That's
we
good.
Which
Well, when they started the FM, I was the first program director, as I mentioned, and our slogan, which I came up with, was "Music for the People."
Mhm.
okay.
And it just so happened Marvin Gaye came out with "What's Going On." We were the only station playing it. We sold over 100,000 albums in Philly, and I remember I walked into Bob Klein, the general manager's office, and I said, "I don't understand." I said, "We're playing this Marvin Gaye album. It's over 100,000, which is a lot of records." And I said, "Nobody else is playing it." You know what he looked at me and he said was, "Shh, shh, don't tell nobody.
All right.
Don't tell nobody." And then there was Nicky Giovanni and the Last Poets and all that
Right.
stuff. And we played Blood, Sweat, and Tears. We played some white stuff. We mixed it up. You know, if it had the sound, we played it. You know,
Right.
and then when one year, like 2 years in, we hit #1. We beat KYW. And I said, "Oh, this isn't good." Because 2 weeks later, Power 99 came along because they saw how successful we were, you know. And, but the ability to play music, different music that people like, you know, a lot of times you could call the disc jockey and tell him, "Hey, what about, you know, so-and-so?" You know, like a lot of those B-sides, people would, you know, when they bought the record that had both sides, you know, they'd say, "Hey, the other side of that's great," you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
and Philly, Motown was bigger in Philly than it was in Detroit.
Yeah.
Every Motown record was a hit.
Yeah.
I'll Always
Yeah.
Love You by the Spinners, you know. Truly Yours by the Spinners, you know.
Oh yeah.
Brenda
Yeah.
Holloway, you know. What am I going to do when I'm going? You know, besides the big artists. But how about the Spinners, though? They're like a B act on Motown.
Right.
They're like a B act. And we can do better than this. And so they signed with Atlantic. And I remember Tommy Bell told me, he said he went to Detroit and he had each guy sing. And so he started putting a song together for them. You know, with the first one was "I'll Be Around." The flip side was "How Can I Let You Get Away," which was originally the A side, and then some disc jockey, I'm not sure who it was, flipped it over to "I'll Be Around," and then the Spinners just took off. You know,
Right.
great record after great records. You know, and then, you know, I mean, you know, Motown had the Tops and the Miracles and the Temps. You know, I mean, you know, Contours. So they did the right thing by leaving, and they had a great career. You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good question, Professor. Harv, and now that you retired, do you still stay in touch with any of the legends that are still alive?
the problem is the last thing you said is the key.
Yeah, right. Right.
There's
Right.
not, you know, Hylet, Butter, Georgie Woods. I mean, Jimmy Bishop, or, you know, everybody's Kay Williams. I mean, now I'm good friends with Royce Howard. I used to let Royce fill in for me when I took off, you know, and he always appreciated it.
Right.
And I talked to Royce, I talked to some other jocks, but I don't tell me a legend who's alive. I'll tell you if I talk to him.
Right. Okay. 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 I got you. One more quick question for me. You talked about Gladys Knight all the time. I think you said that was your grandmother's or your
My
mom's
mother.
favorite?
My mother.
Your mother's favorite. What song by Gladys is your favorite? Or is Gladys your favorite?
Well, she's right up there, that's for sure. You know, she does a great "Help Me Make It Through the Night."
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I love the other side of I want to do wrong if I forget, but it was "Is There a Place in Your Heart?"
Is there a place in your
Yeah.
You know, which is the same song as "Will You Love Me Tomorrow," you know. Promises at night are easily forgotten when the daytime comes, you know. Oh, I love that song. And then I used to close my show on DIS with "The Other Side of Grapevine." It's time to go now.
Absolutely.
You know,
That's like a national anthem, man.
I used to say, "Gladys, take me home, baby."
Yeah. 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 Well,
But
just because
my mother loved Gladys.
because I emulated your show last night, I ended with "It's time to go now" and "Stay in my corner."
Appreciate it. Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Very nice.
Drew, what you got? You got something, Drew?
Yeah, I did have a question, but I want to go back quickly to what you said, Harvey. You actually played some songs by the Last Poets.
Yeah.
Did I hear you correctly?
Yes.
Wow.
I don't remember what.
Oh,
And then we played the Persuasions, the Poets. Nikki Giovanni
okay.
had an album
Yep.
out because
Yeah.
we were
Right.
when we started. The DSAM played the black hits. We were
Mm.
going to play the album cuts. We were going to expand, play the album cuts. And a lot of people were worried there wasn't enough material, there wasn't enough music. And then all of a sudden from heaven came What's Going On, Marvin Gaye, the Persuasions came out on Capitol, the Last Poets, Nikki Giovanni, Sly and the Family Stone was big for us.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden everything just came our way.
Right.
Okay.
And we play the album cut, like we play the whole
Yeah.
album going on.
If I might
Okay. Yeah.
interject, the only song we could play by the Last Poet was On the Subway.
Okay.
That was
Well, that's
Oh,
what I was getting at, Jay.
we played
The Last Poets had some raw stuff out there. You
yeah,
couldn't hear
that's
all that on the radio, what they were saying. So that kind of threw me, that shocked me that you played it. But here's my real question, Harvey. Can you recall a time where you tried to push a song, you thought the song was going to be a hit, and it didn't become a hit, or
sure.
vice versa?
Yeah, I don't remember. Sure.
Was there a hit that you thought was good, but it flopped? Can you recall some of that?
I can't I can't remember them, but absolutely we did. Oh, when
Okay.
we were talking about artists that came out. Here's a good one. We played Gil Scott Heron. The Revolution will not be televised.
Yeah.
See, they didn't play that on AM. We played it, and I
Wow.
don't. A lot of people don't know this. He went to college. He went to college in this area, and I interviewed him to do a show on DAM. And
Lincoln. Lincoln.
after 2 interviews with him, I realized this wasn't going to work. Had enough trouble with the guys. Had enough trouble with the guys we had. But he had a great career. But
Okay.
he used to come hang out at the station.
Okay. Good question, Drew. Jay, go ahead up. We getting ready to do our wrap up. Go ahead, Jay.
Hey, Harvey, I know it's probably a difficult task for you, but what song would you, in your mind, would you think was the perfect song?
Well, there's a couple of them I love. I think Smokey Robinson made thousands of great records, but The Love I Saw in You was just a mirage, like a perfect.
Yes.
It's like a perfect record.
Great
It's
song.
an individual thing what you're asking. That's what you.
Oh
have to
yeah,
understand.
I guess it for you. I have.
But for me,
I have one for me.
I love that. I love that. I love. There's almost no temps I don't like. Don't Look Back. The B-sides. You're Not an Ordinary Girl. Now I'll tell you who I really love personally when I'm listening by myself. B-sides of the Marvelettes.
Oh, yeah.
Now the A-side, I love Strange I Know, one of my favorites. Forever's a B-side. Locking Up My Heart's an A-side, but Too Strong to Be Strung Along.
He's just a playboy.
Someday, some way is a great B-side.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you how much I love you someday,
Yeah.
some way. But a lot of great Marvelettes. Gladys Horton, fabulous lead singer. Now,
Absolutely.
here's the story of life. Supreme's in the Hall of Fame. Martha and the Vandellas in the Hall of Fame. Marvelettes aren't going to get in, and they paved the way.
Yeah.
Now, I had a friend was on the committee. I'll tell you how it worked a little. They had people would have a soul guy, a garage rock, a hard rock, and they would all sit in the room, and they would say a name. Like he told me one day, somebody said Brooke Benton. Nobody said nothing. Brooke Benton's not in. He's probably not going in. Now, Chubby Checker was nominated this year. Now, I wish him the best. He was really upset about it. He said I should have my own room. So he got nominated, but I'd be surprised if he got in, to be honest, because they make a TV show on HBO, and they want the TV show to be from younger. The younger demographic is what everybody wants.
Right.
And the last great group, and if I had the DAS days to live over again, this is a group I would play more of. I didn't play enough. The Five Royales. They did the original, dedicated to the one I love. They did Tell the Truth, and Ray Charles did later. They were the last. So somebody in the meeting says the Five Royales, and the head of a record company, a big shot, says they're in. that was it. When one of those guys says it, that's it. But when
Yeah.
they had the TV show, they could have had somebody sing Dedicated to the One I Love because they wrote it and did it first, but they didn't. And one of their relatives accepted the award and said, I wish just one of them was alive to be here for this.
Wow.
So I'd be surprised from what he told me if any of our music goes in anymore.
Right. Right.
Which is sad. So, I mean, like I say, all the female Motown groups are in Martha, the Supremes. They deserve it.
Yeah.
But Marvelette sure as hell deserves it, man.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. I agree.
Marvelous with my girls.
Yeah. Good question, Jay. Restful,
All
go
good
ahead,
questions.
baby. Going to our wind up. Go ahead, baby.
Yeah, I'm just saying Marvelettes were one of my favorites as well. But I just want to thank you for your time. You were a good contribution to this station and to the listeners, and I just want to say thank you.
I appreciate it. I thank you. And remember, some people listen to remember. Some people listen to forget.
Diane, go ahead, baby.
It was a pleasure talking to you tonight, Mr. Holiday. Really wish that you were still on the radio because
I appreciate that.
nothing's on the radio anymore, and I live in Florida, and the radio sucks. Okay.
No, you say that everywhere. To be honest, it's a different.
Yeah, but it just really sucks here. I can't even find an oldie station.
I know, but don't be sad it's gone. Be glad you were there for Georgie Woods and Harvey Holiday and Highland and Butterball. Yes. Be glad you were there for Sam Cooke and the Impressions and Jerry Butler. Quick, can I tell a quick? One of my things I like to do is I read a lot. I used to tell on the radio how songs were written. Like one of my favorite stories is "Respect" by Otis Redding. Wrote it, did it first, and then Aretha. I don't have to tell you when Aretha did "Respect." Boom.
Yeah.
Otis Redding's band was on the road. They were getting ready to come home, and they were saying what they wanted to do when they get home. And one guy said, "Man, I just want my wife's cooking." And another guy said, "I just want to sleep in my own bed." And another guy said, "I just want a little respect." Otis. Now, a lot of people might have heard that and moved on, but Otis Redding, great songwriters observe. Otis Redding said, "Boom, that's it." And he sat down and wrote, "I just want a little respect."
Wow.
But my favorite, I have time for one more?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Great. Doc Pomus had polio. He was in a wheelchair. He was one of the great rock and roll characters. Wrote "Teenager in Love" and a lot of Elvis songs, and he wrote a lot of Drifter songs. So he got married to a beautiful girl who was a dancer, and he couldn't dance at his wedding because he was in a wheelchair. So he said to his wife, "Go dance, have fun, do whatever you want." So she's dancing with all his friends, and he's sitting in the chair, and he gets a pen and a piece of paper, and he writes, "You can dance every dance with the man." And he wrote, that's how he wrote "Save the Last Dance for Me."
Wow.
Don't forget I'm taking you home. So great stories of how songs were written. Sam Cooke was in England on a Saturday night. He didn't know anybody because he was in England. Went back to his hotel room. Another Saturday night, and I ain't got nobody.
Got nobody.
But how songs were written. And then I heard Gamble and Huff and Jerry Butler were writing in songs, and there was a knock on the door, and somebody hollered, "Western Union, Western Union, Western Union man."
That's cool.
So great songwriters observe and they listen. Most of us hear stuff, well, that's nice, but great songwriters hear the song.
Exactly. Good stories. Good stories. Good stories. Professor?
Thank you so very much.
No, thank you very much.
This has been fun.
Thank you.
I love hearing old stories. And that songwriting, you just gave me an idea.
Okay.
I might have to start writing.
How about this? I had one more quickie. Sure. A guy in Jersey robs a store. So the silent alarm goes off. The police come in, guns pulled. They got the guy surrounded. Put your hands up. The guy says, "Jocko sent me. Jocko sent me."
Man, there's some great stories out there. Yes. Great stories. Great stories. Hey, Harv, let me ask you something. Everybody in the sort of thing, we got just a couple minutes left. Are you considering, or have you considered writing a book?
Okay, I knew that question was going to come up. If I write a book, I have to tell the truth. Then why write the book if I'm going to lie, right?
Right.
A lot of things I learned in confidence about people, and most of them are deceased. I don't want to be beaten. If I tell the truth, I don't want to be beaten. I mean, everybody with me has a lot of good points, and we all have some bad points and some things, And if I write the book, I got to tell the truth, and I don't want to do that. It's like it's like sports in the locker room. What happens in the locker room stays in the locker room.
Gotcha.
The things that I know about people, I mean, most of them are good people, and they may have, had an incident here and there. I don't really want to share that.
Okay.
Especially with deceased people that can't defend themselves. You see a lot of people attack. All of a sudden somebody's alive, for 70 years, and they die, and all of a sudden people got things to say about them. Well,
right.
Why don't you say it when he was alive so he could defend himself?
Right.
So.
Right.
People ask me all the time, and I say, why write the book if I'm not going to tell the truth? And I don't want to tell the truth.
I got you. Well, and I know you understand where that question was coming from, just for the entertainment factor.
Yeah.
The stories that you told, like the ones you've shared already.
But I like doing this and telling stories,
Right. Well, listen, my brother, it has been absolutely wonderful having you here. We've been chasing each other for a long time. Finally, we got you on the show. And again, to everybody listening, I want to tell you that this guy was one of my radio idols, and I mean, I listened to him attentively on Sunday nights.
Who's another one?
Georgie Woods.
All right, very good. Let me just say this. There's an old expression. If you want respect, you got to give respect.
Absolutely.
You have always given me respect. And I had to come, and I don't do this anymore, but I had to come on your show because you've always showed me respect, and I wanted to show you respect.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And all the questions were great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, like I said, I want to make it public, and I want to make that this guy was one of my radio idols, and I listened to him intently on Sunday night, how he spoke, how he phrased things, how he played the records, how he introduced Mama's Closet. I listened to all of that, and I took a little piece from him, took a little piece from Jerry Blabbin, took a little piece from Georgie Woods, and that's made me what I do now and how I do it now, and I'm very grateful.
That's the way to do it. That's what I did. I did the same thing.
Yeah, very, very grateful. Well, my brother, we're gonna be talking soon because I will always stay in touch. And
did I do good? Did I do good?
Huh?
Yes.
I haven't talked to the I've been retired 6 years.
No, man. If we could go another hour, everybody would stay right here. You know what I mean? Everybody would stay right here. Because like I said, we scratched the surface. I know you got 100 more stories to tell. You know what I mean? So it's been great, man. It's been great. And I thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the legendary Double H Harvey Holiday. Give him a nice round of applause if you would.
Thank you for the excellent questions.
You got it. Everybody out there, again, we'll be back next week. Now, let me tell you about next week. Next week is going to be a two-part situation. Harvey will know exactly who I'm talking about, and most of you guys do. There was a group that came out of Rahway Prison by the name of the Escorts. We are going to have next week Reggie Haynes' wife. Reggie Haynes was one of the singers in the Escorts, the lead singer. We're going to have his wife talk about how Reggie went to jail for 17 years on something that he did not commit. So Reggie Haynes' wife and George Kerr are going to be our guests next week. It's going to be a two-part series because there's a lot of information out there that we, the public, are going to want to know about. So be sure to tune in on our podcast next week. Have a great weekend. Everybody be safe. And again, we can't get enough of the legendary Harvey Holiday.
God bless you all.
Take care, my brother. God bless you.
Thank you. You too. I had fun. It was fun.
Don't forget, WPPM 106.5 FM AM right now. Harvey, take care, my brother. Love you.
Bye-bye.
Great show, everybody. Great show. Drew, great questions as usual. Respect, Wrestle Spirit. Great. Everybody had great questions. Great questions. Great questions. You guys have a good weekend. See you later.
He answered a lot of my questions before I can ask.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night.